This round is a stand-up challenge. I launch the wheel of news, and wherever it chooses to stop, one of our performers must step forward to talk about that subject. The winner is whoever I think is the funniest. OK, here we go. Our first topic, please. And it's travel. Who wants to comment on that? Margaret.
I think the thing with travelling is it's often quite hard to make yourself understood. I was in South Africa recently, and the way they talk there, that's not even the joke yet. I literally went to South Africa. All their vowels sound the same. So a word like cigarettes, it sounds like secrets. I was there. This guy was going, "Give me one of your secrets. Can I have one of your secrets?" Like, well, I once masturbated in a library. But in a way, I do at least prefer it when it's me travelling. I get very nervous when people I know and love are travelling, like my wife. My wife is always in planes and stuff. I get very nervous in case something happens to her. I've even resorted to checking, you can track the flight on the website. So the other week, my wife was flying, and I was there following it on the website, and it says, in the air. I couldn't relax till it said, landed. Which I know, I'm not sure how reliable a guide it is, really. I can't imagine if there is a problem, they change it to crashed. Turned into a fireball, frowny face.
Thank you very much, Mark. Well done. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is international relations. Patrick.
The world is a very dangerous place, and I think in order to bring more peace and to prevent war, what we need to do is to cancel the United Nations and stand down all armies. What we should do is we should replace it. Every government should have to open a Facebook account. Because Barack Obama opened a Facebook account to run for president, and a year later, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. It would be great. If every government had a Facebook account, the world would be a much better place. America and North Korea are now friends. China likes this. Hezbollah has poked Israel. The people of Palestine have written on Israel's wall. Osama bin Laden has tagged you in an album. Jihad 2001. America and Pakistan have gone from in a relationship to it's complicated.
OK, that leaves us Milton and Russell. The next topic, please. And it's etiquette.
I'm quite a socially awkward bloke. Oh, thanks for laughing at just that. I saw a girl on a train recently, and she was eating a yoghurt, and for some reason my brain thought it would be a good idea to go, "You know, that's very good for thrush." Like, she'd suddenly go, "Oh, sit down, stranger." I can't help it. I drift in. Like, I was at a museum the other day. Everyone said, "Don't take photos," and I was taking a photo. A 9-year-old girl arrives, goes, "What you doing?" "I'm taking a photo." She ran off. "I'm off to tell the man." Now, the last thing you want to be doing is chasing a 9-year-old girl across a museum going, "Don't tell the man, don't tell the man." Added to the fact that when you catch her, you've got to go, "I'll delete the photo." That doesn't look good.
Thank you very much. Shut up. OK, Milton, let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is health.
My sister's got hay fever. Now she's got diabetes, so I tried to cheer her up, you know, flowers, chocolates. About a month before he died, my grandfather, we covered his back with lard. After that, he went downhill very quickly. Recently had bird flu, but it's all relative, isn't it? You know, if I had rabies and you offered me bird flu, I'd bite your hand off. Last summer, I set up a clinic for colonic irrigation, but the hosepipe ban hit us hard. Very much for you.
I think the points have to go to Milton and Patrick. Give a round of applause. Let's have our first topic, please. First topic is language. Who wants to come in on that? Chris.
Language, apparently, was developed by humans to help them during hunting. That's what people will tell you. I don't buy that. I think language is more likely to have developed spontaneously, probably between a cave couple who were just furious with each other, incandescent with rage, but completely incapable of expressing their emotion, just standing opposite each other in the cave mouth, going until something had to give. And one of them finally snapped and went, "You prick!" And I went, "Oh, it's all coming out now, isn't it? Never clean this cave up. This place is a tip." "Well, why didn't you say something before?" "Well, I couldn't, could I?" "You're a pig, you are. My mother warned me about you." "Oh, really? How?" Bantu, the Bantu languages of the southern African peoples, they speak with a system of clicks and tuts, this kind of using the throat and the tongue and constantly surrounded by horses they've no need of. It's a nightmare for them. Bantu for go away horses. They're screwed, really, isn't it?
Thank you very much, Chris. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is home life. Who wants to come in on that? Sarah.
My home life involves no children. I don't really like children. And if you ask, most of my female friends don't have kids. If you ask any woman who doesn't have kids what would worry them about having kids, the answer would always be childbirth. From what I understand of childbirth, it changes you downstairs, doesn't it? Changes you downstairs. I quite like my downstairs the way it is, thanks very much. Certainly don't want an extension. But it's bound to change, though, isn't it? Because you're forcing a person out. That's what you're doing. You're forcing a person out. I've never forced a person out. I forced a couple in. But I was in a shop recently, and this little boy came running over to me, put his hand in mine and shouted, "Mammy!" And I thought, oh, sometimes forget me keys, but I think I'd remember that. And then his dad came over, and I thought, I wonder if this is the best chat-up line ever. And his dad's going to go, "No, no, that's not your mammy. Remember, your mammy left us because my willy's too big."
OK, that leaves us with Andy and John. The next topic, please. My topic is politics. Who wants to come in on that? Andy Parsons.
So we've had the Lib Dems announce their immigration plan. What they'd like to do is they'd like to put immigrants into places in Britain which don't, at the moment, have many immigrants. Quite what those parts of Britain will feel about that policy. I grew up for quite a long time in Cornwall, and there they regarded anybody who came from Devon as an immigrant. We had one bloke on our street who was known as the Traveller because he'd once been by train up to London. And we have a new president for Europe, a man by the name of Herman Van Rompuy. Now, the Sun can't wait to get a headline going on this one. Rumpy Pumpy, Rumpy Numpty, Humpty Rumpy. They'll go for gold if he gets involved in an affair with a one-legged ugly dwarf. Rumpy Pumpy from Rumpy Numpty with Frumpy Stumpy Grumpy.
Well done, Andy Parsons. OK, John, let's see what you've been left with. The topic is fitness.
I think as a country we all know that we're not as fit as we used to be. We still sell a lot of sports clothing, though. I'm from Liverpool. If you ever go to Liverpool and you look around at the number of people in tracksuits, you'll think you're in an Olympic village. The reality is you've only got to see the size of the tracksuits to know that you're not in an Olympic village. And the problem is when you invest in some sport and clothes, you feel you've got to do something with them. I bought a brand new pair of running shoes, a brand new pair of shoes that I thought I'll have to do something. One of my mates said, "Why don't you join us? A few of us are doing a 10K race." Never run a 10K before, and when you enter, you've got to put an estimated finish time. I didn't know what to put down. I phoned my mate Sam up. I said, "What shall I put down?" He said, "Oh, put 22 minutes." I thought that seems optimistic. I'll put 24 minutes. I sent the form in. I turned up on the day of the 10K race. I turned up with my mates. I was stood there with an orange number. All my mates had blue numbers. The steward came up to me. He said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I was thinking of running the race." He said, "No, what are you doing back here with all the blue numbers?" I said, why? He said, well, you're an orange number. I said, so what? He said, well, if you're an orange number, that means you're an elite athlete. He took me to the front. It was me and 3 Kenyans.
Good man, John. OK, in that round, the points go to Chris and Sarah. The first topic, please. The first subject is nationality. Who wants to come in on that? Hand it back.
Listen, your national identity starts where you grow up. I grew up in a place called Ireland. Thank you. It's a good place for comedy, people. Sometimes in Ireland, you don't even have to write jokes. It is just in the newspaper. Last year, an orangutan escaped from Dublin Zoo. And in the newspaper, and I quote, his zookeeper said, "We believe he was planning it for years." They reverse engineered his crime, and they found out over the last 15 years he'd been cultivating a tree to grow against the wall of his enclosure. What the hell kind of monkey Shawshank Redemption is that? Do we have any English people here? Welcome, English people. My son's English. That's how he talks. Hello, Dad. Do you want to trade Pokemon cards, Dad? Do you know how strangely baffling and oddly disappointing it is for an Irishman to have found out that he's accidentally made Englishmen? Seems to be set on Saxon.
Thank you very much, Andrew Axel. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is family. Who wants to come in on that?
OK.
Andy.
OK, so I grew up in a Nigerian household, and I don't know if you know, but there's a lot of strong discipline in a Nigerian household. I think the best example of Nigerian discipline I heard recently on the local bus. And there was a woman on the bus, I believe her name was Auntie, and she had a little daughter with her, and the daughter was about 4 or 5 years old. She was messing around, and she wanted her to stop. But this is what she said. Nigerians, you see, they take discipline too far. She wanted the girl to stop, so this is what she said. She said, "OK, do you want me to go to jail?" And the little girl, to be fair to her, she said, "Yes." But the woman's reply was brilliant. She said, "OK, so when we get home, I'm going to kill you. Then you will not have to see me again." The white people on the bus kind of looked like this section over here. They were kind of like, "That's funny, but we're going to report that shit." The black people on the bus were like, "Very good, that's it. That's why this country's going down the toilet. You see? You see? You see?"
Thank you very much, Andy. OK, that leaves Russell and Stewart. The next topic, please. OK, it's work. Who wants to come in on that? Away you go, Stewart.
I don't think I got the job at Microsoft. They haven't responded to my telegram. I used to be a mime. It's only now I can talk about it. I was a trapeze artist, but I was let go. I was a trampoline salesman, off and on. I made clown shoes, which was no small feat. I quit my job as a taxidermist for doing a half-assed job. Surprisingly, as an accountant, I was fired after only... half an hour. I quit my job at the helium gas factory. I refuse to be spoken to in that tone.
OK, Russell, let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And it's shopping.
There's a lady at the back whooping there, just looking at a basket. My favourite place to go shopping, without doubt, though, I love budget shops like Aldi and Lidl. I love them. My mum gets so excited. 1p for beans! 1p for beans! There's a reason they're 1p. Have you ever seen inside? There's no tomato sauce. They're just swimming in their own tears. Help me! They're not supermarkets. They're shelters for abused food. Broken biscuits. I was in a hobnob war.
Reformed ham. What's reformed ham? I will never commit a crime again. Manager special, manager special. You're telling me he's licking the trolleys?
Thank you very much for that. Spin that round. The points go to Andy and Russell. First subject is education. Andy Parsons.
Yes, well, I'd like to start off with arithmetic. And how come there's only one person on my team and two on theirs? You may have seen, however, that there is a school in Tyneside which now doesn't open until 10 a.m. in the morning because they think teenagers need an extra hour and a half in bed to cope with puberty. What a marvellous euphemism that is, ladies and gentlemen. My mother burst into my room unexpectedly and caught me coping with puberty. There have been a lot of teachers in the press recently, stories where they've been caught having sexual relationships with their pupil. The one that caught my eye, 26-year-old PE teacher who'd been caught shagging this 16-year-old lad. And the paper's going, oh, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked. I'm sure a question that a lot of people wanted to ask was, where was she when I was at school?
Thank you very much, Andy. OK, let's spin the wheel again. And the subject is media. Who wants to come in on that? Jack.
You hear the weirdest things on news reports. I was watching one a couple of months ago about the Californian forest fires. I genuinely heard a man say that apparently 300 mobile homes have been destroyed. Now, I don't know whether there are that many advantages to a mobile home, if any, but one of the main ones, the big selling point of the mobile home, is that you're not really tied down to an area, especially if the said area is on fire. I also saw the most ludicrous one ever, which was a guy on the news, a so-called expert, say that apparently obesity is now a bigger threat to this country than Al-Qaeda. It's definitely not. What would you rather have sat opposite you on the train on your way home? Some mental guy with a beard and like a 100-yard stare with a rucksack full of Semtex? Or just a jolly little fat kid with a rucksack full of Quavers? That's not me, like, belittling obesity, because actually my mum has quite a lot of issues with her weight. She uses those dieting pills, although I did have to point out to her the other day they don't work if you butter them.
Thank you very much, Jack. OK, Milton, let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is travel.
I've just come back from Australia. While I was there, I learnt some Aboriginal words like boo, which means to return, because when you throw an ordinary meringue, I didn't think much of the film on the plane coming back from Australia. It turned out to be a 24-hour animation of a plane travelling from Sydney to London. Whatever you do, don't go and see Time to Destination. Italians, slanty little eyes. Sorry, italics. Just come back from Dartmoor, where I spent 3 days shooting at life-size models of Sarah Ferguson and Princess Diana. Got nothing against them myself, it's just they made it part of the Duke of Edinburgh's awards scheme. I've just come back from Russia. Always wanted to go out with a Russian girl, because in my experience, inside every Russian woman, there's another Russian woman.
Point in that round. Go to Milton and Jack. Come on back. First subject is weather.
Oh,
OK, Chris House.
We, in this country, massively overreact to weather. There was this a tornado in Birmingham a few years ago. The tiniest tornado you've ever seen in your life. In America, a tornado is a massive thing that destroys whole states. Here, the twister hit Selly Oak. And the entire British press went nuts. The Guardian said it dislodged roof tiles and smashed plant pots. Oh, no! They interviewed these two lads on the Today programme on Radio 4. One of them said it was horrifying. He said, I was sat in my back room. I thought the window was going to come in. Next thing I knew, a bin liner flew past. Not a car. Not even a bin liner! It was so breezy. And he talked to his mate. They said, what was it? His mate had evidently been followed down the street by the tornado, right? Before, presumably, he went behind his gate and shot it and the tornado bounced off. What was it like? Ow! Ow! He said, ow. It was horrifying. He said it was like being followed down the street by a giant carrot. Not a whirling funnel of death. A giant carrot. I ate vitamins.
Thank you very much, Chris. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is school. Who wants to come in with that? Hello, sir.
Is that an apple for school? I went to school in Scotland, so I've never seen... According to a recent shock statistic, 1 in 3 children, 1 in 3 15-year-olds in the UK admits to being sexually active. I think anybody who's actually shocked by this statistic forgets their school days. Now, just because a 15-year-old claims to be sexually active does not mean that they are sexually active. If some youth worker approached you at 15 years old in front of all your mates and asked you if you were sexually active, you'd be going, of course, mate, who's Shagger? Put me in for 4, pal. Another fun memory of school. Remember the first day back at school after the summer holidays, first day of term, that was a good day. You pay attention, that was the day you found out what class you were in. I don't mean educationally, I mean socially. First day after summer, you had the rich kids. They'd come strolling in with a suntan and a new school bag, and then the poor kids would come in with a black eye and a new second name. You need to ask your teacher, sir, how come Jamie Cosgrove's now called Jamie de la Cruz? Oh, that's because his mum's dirty. That was my school days.
OK, Russell, let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is joy.
Two very giddy albinos there. Do you know what gives me joy? People who are a bit different. I fell in love with my friend Tom, age 5. He stood up in the middle of a nativity play and went, well, enough's enough. What made it even better, he was the front end of a donkey. I like noises as well. I heard this in a supermarket the other day. Whee! I thought, I'm following that, right? It was an old man skidding on a trolley. He'd done the trolley gauntlet, just whee! Just this blur of giddy wrinkles. What made it even better, a security guard stopped him and went, oi, I've told you. How can that not make you happy? And sometimes we laugh at stuff that we shouldn't. Like, I was in a pub recently, I saw a full-size Jenga topple onto a pissed dwarf. Now, the head says no, the belly says yes! Laugh, Russell! Before the bricks hit his tiny face, he went, bloody hell. A bloke 2 seats along went, that was like 9/11. You're there going, oh, God.
Thank you very much, Russell. And the points there go to Chris and Kevin. The coalition government. Any persons?
Yes. So they told us to vote, we voted, and we now have a government that absolutely none of us, in fact, voted for. Yes, we managed to get rid of brown, but we now have some mixture of blue and yellow, so it appears we've got brown all over again. And you may have seen we had Richard Littlejohn in the Daily Mail describing the new coalition as like the film Brokeback Mountain because it involved two men working closely together. I would like to describe Richard Littlejohn as like the film The Shining. A dangerous psychopath sat at a typewriter, going demented, typing the same crap over and over again.
Thank you very much, Andy Patterson. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is accents. Who wants to come in on that? Diane.
Apparently, they're going to start using more regional accents on things like computers and answer machines, you know, because people are getting bored with the usual American or posh-sounding voices on things, and they want some alternatives. And I was trying to think what else you could have, and then I thought, imagine someone's trying to force the door on one of those talking cars, and instead of it going, stop, move away from the car, this car is alarmed, instead of that you get, oi, get off, you'll break it. See, I think they should get an old woman to do the tube stops on the London Underground. This is Collie Edgewood. I'm 87. This is Hanger Lane. I used to have a friend who lived in Hanger Lane. She's dead now.
Thank you very much, Jack. And that leaves us with Milton. Let's see what subject. Let's spin the wheel. The subject is family.
One of my earliest memories is seeing my mother's face through the oven window. As we played hide and seek, and she said, "You're getting warmer." My auntie Jean got a sister called Jean. Her daughter Jean just had a baby, called it Jean. They all went to a nightclub to celebrate. They got to the door and the bouncer said, "Sorry." You're all wearing trainers. My grandfather, Jean, always complaining about how much things cost. £1.50 for a cup of tea, £2.25 for 3 custard creams. I said, "Look, Grandad, you just popped round. I didn't invite you." My other grandfather, he was always going on about how in the old days people could leave their back doors open, which is probably why his submarine sank. My other grandfather, when he died, we didn't even get the chance to say goodbye, which was all the more poignant because he drowned in a bowl of Cheerios.
The points go to Milton Jones. There you go. The first subject is nationality. Who wants to come in on that?
I'll take it.
Jared.
Like most of you, I've got a nationality. I'm from New Zealand, and the thing is, growing up in New Zealand was pretty tough. It's pretty tough, especially with the name Jared Christmas. That's my real name. Jared is spelled J-A-R-R-E-D. Thanks, Mum and Dad, that's Jard. Cheers for the double whammy of Christmas as well. Woo! High school was a treat. For a whole year, I had a teacher. Whenever she was calling the register in the morning, I was never allowed to go, "Hi, hello, I'm here, good to see you." No, every morning it was Anders, present, Brown, present, Christmas. But, I don't want to show off or anything, but I've got an older brother. All right, thank you. And he's in the New Zealand Army. It's just him. And now you're laughing because you're thinking, New Zealand got an army? What was the last conflict they were involved in? Lord of the Rings, that's what they did.
Well done, Dara. Thank you very much. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is South Africa.
We have the dung beetle. Some of you may have seen the dung beetle at the opening ceremony of the World Cup. The dung beetle in the language of Xhosa, which is one of our 11 I actually speak, is Xhosa. It's actually, the dung beetle is Xhoxhoxwane. And if you want to say, I'm fine, thank you, in Xhosa, you say, Kable vinegar. You coming to South Africa, learn that language. It'll open doors for you, like, mwah, mwah, mwah. And we've tried the red button to get rid of the BBC commentary in South Africa. This is not a lie. We have to listen to your commentary. And what a lot of people are doing is turning the sound down on the television and putting the radio onto Radio Xhosa, because those commentators are a lot more exciting. I watched England play America. And that guy came on and he was like, Zimbintaba Matoda! Soccer City Stadium! That was just the beginning, and then he came on and said, "Some call him the ref started a game. I'm a Lions." But in the USA, Tatibol Steven Gerrard, Dangerous Kakulu Stevie G. Oh, Stevie G, Nugala Rooney, Nanguloni Rooney. Why does that ball USA Tati Clint Dempsey, Tati shot Robert Green? Oh, Butterfingers!
Thank you. Well done, Nick. That leaves us with Jack. Let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. OK, it's charity.
I find charity quite confusing. I was walking down the street the other day, and one of those women with the blue NSPCC bibs and a bucket and clipboard came up to me. She said, "Do you like kids?" I said, "Surely there's got to be subtler ways of catching sex offenders." But I do like the people that go and do it, charity work, when they like leave school and stuff. The girls that go off and do it for like a year, and then they come back and you realise the only reason they've done it is so they can shove it down your throat. Like, oh my God, it was so amazing. We went to Tibet. Oh, literally, where to start? Preferably near the end. Oh, no. Me and my friend Viskiri, who's ethnic, by the way, did I mention, and Cassandra, who's properly working class and has a penchant for benefit fraud, well, we just talked around Tibet, smoking the most amazing Thai grass, talking about, like, 9/11 conspiracy theories and foot-massaging lepers, and we found the most wonderful little monastery on the foot of Mount Hitra Pitra Matra Fikatra Atu. And we stayed there for weeks, just helping the orphans. It just makes you think, haven't the orphans suffered enough? I did it, though. I did a bit of charity work once. On my gap year, I went and did a little bit of volunteer work in a special needs school for children, and just playing games with them, football, tennis, and it does genuinely make you feel really good inside, because you always win.
Well done. At the end of that round, in the points go to Nick Benedict. Travel. Who wants to come in that?
I'll do it.
Chris has.
The most dangerous roads in the whole of the world are British motorways. That is my sincere belief. Not because of the speed, because you can't get up speed on the British motorway because you're stuck behind a dick in a caravan. Do you know, I found this out. 1 in 5 families in this country goes caravanning. Why? What makes a family who don't get on in a normal-sized house believe that squeezing themselves into a tin for a fortnight is going to improve matters? It's such a self-deluding activity, which for me is symbolised by that. You know that 5-foot-long wing mirror, the attachable wing mirror the dad puts on the car? Well, I have to see what's behind me. It's of paramount importance that at all moments I can see what is behind me. Oh, for goodness sake, just paste a picture of a traffic jam on there, because that's what's behind you. You don't need to look to see what's behind you. It's there because you are. So the government, they're boring, right? The motorways are boring, and the government puts up those signs to stop us falling asleep, saying, TARDIS can kill, take a break. But the thing is, we're not surprised by those signs anymore, so they don't really work. I think they have to keep changing them. I think they should change those signs to keep us on our toes. Change them to ones that say, déjà vu can kill, take a break. And then one exactly the same, half a mile.
OK, let's spin the wheel again. Next topic is politics. Who wants to come in on that? Any persons?
So, we have a Liberal-Conservative coalition. It makes no sense, does it? Two words that mean completely opposite things. It would be like having the Whig-Baldy coalition or having voted for the no-swearing arse party. We have a new Foreign Secretary, William Hague. I don't think he's going to be taken seriously, is he? Every time he goes to Afghanistan, they're just going to think, oh, it's Ross Kemp on another undercover show. I mean, at the moment, you know, we'll never know, will we, exactly how much Bigotgate affected the election result. Why didn't Gordon Brown just answer Gillian Duffy's question? All she said was, those Eastern Europeans, where are they coming from? Now, even I could have answered that question.
Thank you very much, Danny Parsons. OK, that leaves us with Mickey. Let's see what topic you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is food. Oh, there you go.
Now, this is one of my favourite topics because I actually hate restaurants. And my wife loves restaurants. She's middle class. She's been skiing and everything. And she loves a restaurant. She says, can we go to a restaurant at the weekend? And I say, yes, we can. And we're there, we're barely there 2 minutes, and she's like, isn't it a lovely ambiance? And I say to her, I don't know what you're talking about. I've worked out what an ambiance is. It's a night out about poor people, isn't it, basically? It's people with a few quid to say, can we just have one night out about the poor people turning up? We know what they're like. They'll be banging spoons together, singing Mailman's a Dustman, creating an atmosphere. We want an ambiance. So we try and enjoy the ambiance. But something's happened spoiling it for me. There's no tomato sauce on the table. Creating the situation when my wife looked at me, she said, you're going to ask for tomato sauce, aren't you? I said, yes, I am. Because I'm going to have the risotto. You can't eat risotto without red sauce, it's too dry. It's a health and safety issue. You've got to zhuzh it up with a bit of red sauce, right? So I thought, I'm not having it. I said to the waitress, excuse me, do you have any ketchup in the building? She's looked at me like I'm the worst pleb God has ever put breath in. She went off to the kitchen and I saw her making her way back with a pot about that big, about 2 chipfuls of tomato sauce. I thought, oh, here we go. She's tried to put it down and walk away like she's doing a drug deal or something. And I stopped her. I said, hold on, love, don't rush off. And I took a sip of it. And I looked at her, I said, yes, I'll have a bottle, please.
Thank you very much, Mickey. Well done. And that point is going to make it fine again. Well done. First subject is weather.
Oh,
OK, Chris Evans.
We, in this country, massively overreact to weather. There was this a tornado in Birmingham a few years ago. The tiniest tornado you've ever seen in your life. In America, a tornado is a massive thing that destroys whole states. Here, the twister hit Selly Oak. And the entire British press went nuts. The Guardian said it dislodged roof tiles and smashed plant pots. Oh, no! They interviewed these 2 lads on the Today programme on Radio 4. One of them said it was horrifying. He said, I was sat in my back room. I thought the window was going to come in. Next thing I knew, a bin liner flew past. Not a car. Not even a bin liner. It was so breezy. And he talked to his mate. They said, what was it? His mate had evidently been followed down the street by the tornado, right? Before, presumably, he went behind his gate and shot it and the tornado bounced off. What was it like? Ow! Ow! He said, oh, it was horrifying. He said it was like being followed down the street by a giant carrot. Not a whirling funnel of death. A giant carrot. I hate vitamins.
Thank you very much, Chris. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is school. Who wants to come in with that? Hello, sir.
Is that an apple for school? I went to school in Scotland, so I've never seen... According to a recent shock statistic, 1 in 3 children, 1 in 3 15-year-olds in the UK admits to being sexually active. I think anybody who's actually shocked by this statistic forgets their school days. Now, just because a 15-year-old claims to be sexually active does not mean that they are sexually active. If some youth worker approached you at 15 years old in front of all your mates and asked you if you were sexually active, you'd be going, of course, mate, who's Shagger? Put me in for 4, pal. Another fun memory of school. Remember the first day back at school after the summer holidays, first day of term, that was a good day. You pay attention, that was the day you found out what class you were in. I don't mean educationally, I mean socially. First day after summer, you had the rich kids. They'd come strolling in with a suntan and a new school bag, and then the poor kids would come in with a black eye and a new second name. You need to ask your teacher, sir, how come Jamie Cosgrove's now called Jamie De La Cruz? Oh, that's because his mum's dirty.
Well done.
That was my school days,
OK, Russell, let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is joy.
2 very giddy albinos there. Do you know what gives me joy? People who are a bit different. I fell in love with my friend Tom, age 5. He stood up in the middle of a nativity play and went, well, enough's enough. What made it even better, he was the front end of a donkey. I like noises as well. I heard this in a supermarket the other day. Whee! I thought, I'm following that, right? It was an old man skidding on a trolley. He'd done the trolley gauntlet, just whee! Just this blur of giddy wrinkles. What made it even better, a security guard stopped him and went, oi, I've told you. How can that not make you happy? And sometimes we laugh at stuff that we shouldn't. Like, I was in a pub recently, I saw a full-size Jenga topple onto a pissed dwarf. Now, the head says no, the belly says yes! Laugh, Russell! Before the bricks hit his tiny face, he went, bloody hell. A bloke 2 seats along went, that was like 9/11. You're there going, oh, God.
Thank you very much, Russell. And the points there go to Chris and Kevin. The first subject is transport. Who wants to come in that? Miles.
Yes, transport, public transport. Why is public transport so horrendous? Well, the clue is in the question, isn't it? It's the public. You're horrific. I don't take public transport terribly often, but sometimes I do it for a dare. Some friends and I once had a competition to see who could stay for the longest on a night bus without vomiting. Although, once I got on the bus, it was quite clear that all the other passengers were involved in a similar competition. None of them were doing terribly well. My seat had a sign next to it saying, this seat is particularly appreciated by the elderly and infirm. Yeah, certainly smelt like it. Well, what a journey. Every time somebody pressed the stop button, it pinged. The oik sitting next to me stood up because he thought his McCain's microwavable chips were ready. Brutal. Anyway, while I've been speaking, I imagine a lot of the ladies in here have been looking at me. Possibly, you know, you're thinking, is he or isn't he? Well, I've got to be honest with you, ladies. I am looking for a cleaner.
OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is marriage. Who wants to come in on that? Stewart.
I'm not married. If I was married, would I be able to do this? For that long? I am married. My wife and I met at a castanet class where we clicked. That's not entirely funny. No, we actually met in a museum, and the rest is history. 14 more. No, we actually met at a driving range where we hit it off. Can't be true. No, we actually met in a library. That's novel. Ooh. No, actually, Wayne Rooney introduced us. It was a no-brainer. I'm only kidding. I'm not married. I am married. That's why I'm wearing the ring. Oh, no. It must have fallen off in that hooker. Anybody who's married knows what I'm talking about when I say this, that you really find out about someone after you marry them. Like, for example, my wife doesn't have a peanut allergy. No, it turns out she has a penis. That's it, she has a penis.
Thank you very much, Stewart. OK, that leaves us with Mickey. Let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the subject is parenting.
A few years ago, my wife and I had a baby. Well, we didn't have it straight away. We had to cook it up for a little while. And so she suggested we go to these classes run by the National Childbirth Trust in our local area. They're very middle-class antenatal classes. They're run by this fascist breastfeeding woman. Who's basically, you can go to her home on a Tuesday night. She's breastfeeding her 9-year-old son during the session. It's not awkward. All the men are checking the coving out. It's come away up there because they should have put glue both sides. That's... No, she's still doing it. What are you going to do? And I think by week 4, she's running out of ideas. So she started on the men. She said, I'm going to ask the men this evening, the men. The men are coming on board. How might they benefit by giving birth to the baby themselves? Can we talk about those benefits? Now, there's 6 of us in a circle. I'm in trap 3. Not the best position, the worst one either. Chap number 1's in the best position. He said, if you gave birth to the baby yourself, he said you'd have an empathy with womankind and her struggle over the centuries, creating a greater relationship with your partner. I was thinking, oh, cobblers, I was going to use that one. Chap number 2 dug in, fair enough. He said, well, if you gave birth to the baby yourself, he said you'd have a bond with the child at a more primeval, physical level. Started crying. Nice touch. Mother Earth looked at me, I'm having a panic attack. So all gone a bit hazy. She said, Michael? I said, well, at least you'd be 100% sure it was yours.
OK, the end of that round. Four's going to make it time again. Festivals. Who wants to come in on that? Kevin.
Festivals. Nice picture there. That's actually me on your left. So, I was at a Christian rock festival. I never really meant to be there. I was just passing through this Christian rock festival and there was a stall set up that said a free toastie for all of God's children. So I thought, shame on. I said, how's it going, mate? Can I have a toastie? And the guy said, are you a Christian? And I thought, well, if I'm not a Christian, am I not getting a toastie? That's not very Christian. And with this, the guy crumbled and stood back to reveal a chalkboard and he said, OK, you can have cheese or cheese and ham. And I thought, just cheese, mate, because I'm a Jew.
OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is family. Who wants to come in on that? Russell.
So, it wasn't easy growing up trying to be a little liberal kid in the most right-wing family in the whole of my town. My dad was the most right-wing person I knew, but always quick to point out, I'm not racist, but. That was the danger word. I'm not racist, but... Or the latest remix, which is even more innocuous and dangerous. all I want to do is have a sensible discussion about immigration. Yeah? Isn't it obvious? All right, no one with that face wants a sensible discussion about anything. I just want to have a sensible little chat in the back of that transit van over there, yeah? Me and my brothers, the rest of your family, Mr. Woolham, whatever your bloody name is, mate, yeah? Get in the van, right? My dad even managed to be prejudiced about my first car decision. How do you even achieve that? By British or German. Do not bring Crappanese onto my driveway, boy. Not only that, but I chose a hybrid car. Part electric, part petrol, papa, right? Another question mark hanging over my sexuality. It's the noise of it when it drove off. Thanks for Sunday lunch. Bye, Daddy. Thank you.
Well done. Good mark. OK, that leaves us with Milton. Let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is jobs.
I used to work at a Christian rock festival selling toasties. The best day was when I sold this Jewish bloke some yellow ham. My dad was a dustman. I didn't like him coming to collect us from school, though. Not because I was ashamed he was a dustman, it's just you never knew which day he was going to come. The rest of my family were police marksmen. Apart from my grandfather, he was a bank robber. He died quite recently, surrounded by his family. My uncle, he's a police frogman. No, sorry, he's a French policeman. I used to work in a supermarket. It was my job to hand out samples of things for people to taste. But I was asked to leave after the little cups of bleach incident. After that, I worked in a pathology lab. But I was asked to leave after one of my reports said, cause of death, autopsy.
Point to the end and go to Milton Jones. Come on back. Let's spin the wheel. And it's the economy. Any persons?
I suppose we should be grateful we're not in Greece. Things very bad there. There's rioting. Things so bad, the austerity measures, that they can't even afford to put petrol in their milk bottles to chuck them. Things are so bad they're having to put milk in their milk bottles. That's how bad things are. Oi, take that. Yeah. In 2 hours, your clothes are going to smell really bad. The European Central Bank, right, they have said that when it comes to Greece, they think it may be a bit like the Ebola virus, right? And they said we may have to cut off our leg to survive. Now, they may know a bit about finance. They know very little about the Ebola virus. It affects your entire body. You cut your leg off, you've still got the Ebola virus. You've just got one leg bloody less.
Thank you very much, Andy Parsons. OK, let's spin the wheel again. The subject is clubbing. Who wants to talk about that? Miles.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can all tell I'm a bit of a clubber. Nothing I like more than getting down to the local hotspot and shaking the old batty and ting, a bit of shawaddy-waddy. Don't mind if I do. No, I have tried nightclubbing. It's not really my thing. I'm a bit too delicate, my system. I was in a nightclub recently. A fellow young raver danced up and shouted, "I'm loving it, loving it, loving it!" I replied, "I'm finding it all a bit noisy, finding it all a bit noisy, finding it all a bit noisy." People jump around like crazy in those places. At one point, my cup and sauce was knocked clean out of my hand. It's tricky. I mean, I've tried the dancing. That's not my thing either. I don't care if I haven't got sexy Latin rhythms. I've got a Latin A-level. Much more transferable in the job market. Comes on the on the dance floor. Recently, a lot of my fellow young ravers were blowing whistles, so I joined in and gave a bloody good pop on my bugle. Unfortunately, that meant half the Bosworth Hunt came charging in across the dance. Hounds mistook 3 of the ginger students for foxes, and there was a hell of a mess.
Thank you very much, Master. OK, that leaves us with Jack. Let's see what you've been left with. Let's spin the wheel. And the topic is health.
I know what you're thinking. Yeah, that is my gun. So, we are in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and the people I blame, definitely, are the supermarkets, because I don't think they're doing enough, right? Like, you go into any supermarket now, and you buy food. If you care about what you put into your body, you look at the nutritional information, you know, the little wheel of guilt that every packet has on it now. That lures you in, doesn't it? Like, you buy something, like ice cream. It's like, this ice cream only contains 5% of your daily intake of calories. You're like, oh, that's very promising. I'll buy the ice cream then. Then you look up a little bit closer, above the little wheel of guilt, tiny white writing, 1/8 of a tub. Oh, you cheeky bastard. You're not allowed to do that. Put on the packet whatever makes it sound good to sell the product, then make up a ludicrously unrealistic portion size, so I buy it like a twat. That's like Greg's going, this sausage roll only contains 2% of your daily intake of calories, if you lick it. It needs to be more. I think what the supermarkets need to start doing is putting warnings on their packets of food, like they do with cigarettes. You buy cigarettes, it's got a horrible picture of, like, a lung caked in shit. You're like, oh, I don't want to smoke that. You should do it with food. Tesco's on cakes should just have pictures of, I don't know, a really fat woman crying as she walks out of Topshop empty-handed.
OK, at the end of that round, what the hell? Points for everyone. Come on, sit back down here. Trust. Who wants to come in on that? Sean.
I get proud. I get guilty when I'm with a friend and he loses money in his house. This happened to me recently. My friend lost a £5. I thought, does he think I've taken his £5? Is this what's happening? He thinks I've taken... I want to say I haven't taken his £5, but I don't want him to think that I'm guilty. And then I start thinking, hang on, have I taken his £5? Maybe I've taken his £5. Maybe I've put his £5 in my pocket. I want to check my pocket. I can't check my pocket. If he sees me checking my pocket, he's going to think I've nicked his £5. I want to go and hide and check my pocket. I can't hide and check my pocket. If I hide and check my pocket, he's definitely going to think I've nicked his £5. So I went into the bathroom. I found his £5. I couldn't go and give it to him. It would have looked like I got guilty, decided to give it back. I can't just leave it there. He's seen me go in. It's going to look like I planted it, so I just nicked it.
OK, let's spin the wheel again. Subject is family. Who wants to come in on that? Greg.
All of my family are obsessed by the ageing process. Every single generation of us are obsessed by it at the moment. I'll just share this with you before I talk about other family members, just so I can get it off my chest. I was visiting my parents last week, and an old family friend came up to us in the street and said to my mum, "Hello, Pauline, how are you?" She said, "I'm all right, thanks, Kath, how are you?" And then she looked up at me and she said, "Hello, Bob, how are you?" Bob is my dad. He is 75 years of age. All of us are obsessed with it. All of us are obsessed with ageing in our family. Even my nan. My nan is doing her best to hold off the years. She puts a pound of face cream on every single morning, you know, and there's not a face cream on the market that works, ladies and gentlemen. I know that because of my nan, because she's a lovely woman, but she's religiously applied this stuff, and with the best will in the world, her face is ruined. I said to her, "You've spent all that time and all that money, Gran, and your face is no better than Grandad's." And he's dead. He died in the war. He got shot in the face. With a cannon.
OK. That leaves you with Milton. Let's see what you've been after. Let's spin the wheel. And the subject is travel.
When I was young, my mum used to put food on a spoon and say, "There's a train coming, there's a train coming, there's a train coming." We'd always eat it because we knew that if we didn't, she wouldn't untie us from the railway line. I tried to get here by train today. They said, today there's a bus replacement service. So I gave them a tin of pineapple chunks. I said, what's that? I said, that's my money replacement service. I didn't have any money because her friend nicked my fiver. Thanks, that doesn't normally work. Anyway, I managed to borrow a car and I parked it up in Bus Lane. Last year I went on a ballooning holiday, put on 4 stone. The other day I bought one of those off-road vehicles, 3,000 quid, got it home, found out it was a canoe.